do that.
Let's look. What's up? I've never seen it before.
Okay, you're good to go, Mayor.
Clear screen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is Tuesday, May 25th, 2021, and I now call to order the 2075th regular meeting of the City of College Place City Council. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Yes. So Mayor Hernandez is here. Councilmember Bobbitt,
Present.
Councilmember Cleveland,
Present.
Councilmember Peterson,
Present.
Councilmember Nyhagen,
Present.
Councilmember Selby,
Present.
Councilmember Sherman,
Present.
Councilmember Boyle.
Present.
Welcome.
We have City Attorney Ree Caldwell,
Here.
City Administrator Mike Rizzatello, Finance Director Brian Carlton, Public Works Director Paul Hartwig, Community Development Director John Rickard, HR Manager Sean Doring, and City Clerk Lisa Neisel, myself. We are ready to go. We do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Now, will you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the
United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. Okay, it is now time for public comment. Did anyone submit a comment or arrange to speak, Lisa?
We actually have one item prior to that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We need to swear in Councilmember Boyle.
Oh, yes, yes, my apologies. How exciting. All right. Let's get going. Let's make her official.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Monica Boyle,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and of the state of Washington,
and of the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Washington
of the state of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge the duties of the office of City Councilor
of the office of City Councilor
for the City of College Place
for the City of College Place
according to the law
according to the law
and the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Councilmember Boyle.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations again. All right, now we're going to get the meeting going. Lisa, did anyone submit for comment or arrange to speak?
Yes, we do have two people that requested to speak during the public comment portion. And I will, Mr. Davin is the first. I will give him ability to speak now. Can you hear us?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for everyone's time. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention that I worked for Grassy Refrigeration, and that I found out recently we had done some work at Regency at the park, And we had submitted a bid, and of course our bid included the fees for the mechanical permits and all that such thing. And it was unknown to our organization and to others that the fee schedule had been changed. And so, I mean, the fee schedule for residential was one thing, but the way that they came about for the commercial, I really think that it really needs to be looked at a little more in depth. And what happened is basically there were 2.5 systems at Regency at the park, and the permit fees we were charged was $1,000. And that, I called down, had a conversation with people. They admitted that, they didn't know the contractors. They didn't have record of anybody. Nothing was sent out by email or mail to let anybody know that things had happened. And yes, I know COVID's been going on for the last year and things have been a little goofy. But the one thing that did come about was that the city of Walla Walla County, they told me that they're trying to follow their schedule to come in line with their fees. And I thought, that's reasonable. But the Walla Walla County fees are $200, for the site. So if I had 2 units there or 5 units there, my still fee would be basically 200 plus a handling fee. I think it's $6 or something. And so anyway, there's a whole lot of difference between $1,000 and $200. And, yes, the contractors, it affects us. That's something that's passed on. But I can just tell you that from the commercial side of it, that, there's a lot of businesses in College Place that this affects them. And I understand everybody has a cost of living raise and all that. And then I got some justification back as to why, they needed to raise their fees. And I understand that, but I still believe that it needs to be looked at a little harder. And it came back that, well, instead of 200, they would do $100 per unit. And it was explained to me, and I understand that, they got to go out on these jobs, they got to find the equipment, et cetera, et cetera. But it still seems like it's out of line to me. And so I am asking everybody to do their research, do their homework. I was told that they adopted the city of Richland, West Richland's schedule of fees, which kind of just blows me away. We're obviously very, very close to Walla Walla County, and I just think we should be more in line with what is more local than going 60 miles and picking up somebody else's schedule. So I would ask, and the other thing I would say is that new construction is one thing, and retrofit or replacing existing equipment is another thing as far as your inspector or as far as the systems are concerned. And so, again, I know we did a cookie cutter and you just put all this into one lump, into one group. I would ask that this be looked at, reviewed, and something more reasonable be done, for our people in College Place. So all I'm asking is for people to do a little more homework and see if we can really justify what's been put into effect. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davin. Okay, Lisa, who do we have next?
Mr. Davis is next. I will give him the ability to speak to us. Mr. Davis, can you hear us? You're muted.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with College Place Heating, and I have the same purpose for a testimony that John Davin gave on behalf of heating and air conditioning contractors, that $1,000 for a job that used to cost a couple $100 or less is a huge jump, and it's basically probably not the best solution to encourage contractors to take out permits. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay, so we will be moving on to the consent agenda, which consists of we need to approve the agenda for May 25th, 2021 today, approve council minutes from May 11th, 2021, approve the council minutes from May 18th, 2021 special meeting, the city attorney contracts, and check register and financials for April 2021. Are there any items the council would like to have removed from the consent agenda at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Selby, second.
Great.
I think Marge beat us all out.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is passed. Thank you. Next item is our presentation. So we have a proclamation tonight. So it's a proclamation for Blue Zones Month. Let me just quickly pull that up.
And Megan DeBolt is in attendance.
Welcome, Megan. Okay.
Hi there.
All right. So let's make the Blue Zones Month official. Whereas improving the overall well-being of the citizens of the city will improve productivity, lower healthcare costs, and improve the economy. And whereas Walla Walla County is currently ranked 18th in the state of Washington, according to the Robert Wood Johnson County Health Rankings, leaving much room for improvement. And whereas the rate of obesity, smoking, and other healthcare costs have increased exponentially, and the economic vitality of our community is hindered by the poor health and well-being of residents. And whereas there is known geographic regions around the world called blue zones where people live longer, healthier lives, and these communities and there's 9 of these communities, they have 9 commonalities, excuse me. They move naturally, know your purpose, downshift, follow the 80% rule, the plant slant, wine at 5, right tribe, community, and loved ones first. Whereas Blue Zones Project of Walla Walla is a community-wide well-being improvement initiative designed to make healthy choices easier by encouraging evidence-based sustainable changes in community policy, social networks, and organizations including work sites, schools, restaurants, grocery stores, and faith-based organizations. And whereas Blue Zone Project's Walla Walla Valley seeks to improve the overall well-being of College Place, leading to healthier, happier citizens, lower healthcare costs, and higher productivity, offering benefits for everybody. And whereas the City of College Place, through support of the Blue Zones Project, will seek to understand our level of well-being and prioritize city policies that will collectively improve the well-being and economic vitality of our community. And whereas the Blue Zone Project Walla Walla Valley Initiative will officially launch with events throughout the month of June 2021. Now, therefore, I, Norma L. Hernandez, Mayor of the City of College Place, Washington, do hereby proclaim June 2021 as Blue Zones Project Month. Encourage every resident to participate in events and activities hosted by the Blue Zones Project. Given under my hand and seal as mayor of the City of College Place, Washington, this 25th day of May, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hernandez. That's amazing. And we really appreciate the City of College Place's support through this. And so thank you so much. We're excited to get our community programming going and kicking that off June 5th and 6th. So.
We're looking forward to it for our city walk. So glad to have you here.
Thanks so much.
Next item on the agenda is public hearings. We have public hearings scheduled tonight on the zoning moratorium for manufactured home parks, and Mr. Rickard will present.
John, we can't hear you. You might need to leave and join again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So in our community, we have 2 manufactured home parks, Country Estates and Sunset Villa, and it accounts for 323 manufactured homes in our community, which is a significant amount of our housing population. A few years ago, during our comprehensive plan amendment process, the city thought that it was best to eliminate the manufactured home zoning and classify those uses and lump them into the multifamily zoning districts. The thought behind that was that it would open up and make it more amenable to the possibility of other manufactured home parks being developed in our community. And in retrospect, through the learning that the city has done through involvement with community councils, study on affordable housing, and subsequent work groups that we've been involved in, and to the petition that was filed by a resident, that the removal of the manufactured home park zoning potentially puts at risk those parks for redevelopment. And so the council on April 13th this year took emergency action and adopted a moratorium to prohibit any redevelopment of manufactured home parks in our community until we can further study and determine if we need to reestablish the zoning. Part of the process for enacting a moratorium through using the zoning tools that the state provides us is that we're required to hold a public hearing within 60 days of enactment of a moratorium. So that's what we're doing today. So the moratorium is already in effect. And what this moratorium does is it puts a pause on any sort of redevelopment within the, sorry about that. Puts a pause on any sort of redevelopment in our community and allows our planning commission to study the subject, to reach out to our community partners and determine what the best solution is to protect these communities within College Place. So with that, I don't think I have anything else to add, and I will get my dog out of the house and we can get this hearing. Are there any questions that the council has before we do open up the public hearing?
No questions or comments for John? All right, John, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I will open up for the public hearing. And I would like to note that 2 citizens submitted written testimony, and you should have found those in your packet. The material with the materials in your packet, there was 2 of them. Clerk, did anyone submit a comment or arrange to speak in person? Or in Zoom?
We actually had 2 public comments submitted in written form. They are here in your packet. They were added yesterday for you to review. One of them is a statement with the petition that John mentioned. And then we also do have one person who requested to speak and give verbal testimony. So I will allow that person the ability to speak at the moment. Rachel?
Hi, good evening. Thank you, council members and Mayor Hernandez for this opportunity to speak. My name is Rachel Elfenbein, and I'm the advocacy coordinator with Community Council. John Rickard just briefly mentioned the work that the City of College Place has done with Community Council and our affordable housing study and our affordable housing implementation task force. Our task force is broken up into different committees addressing affordable housing challenges in our region. And one of our subcommittees works on local policies and regulations. For the past year and a half, the subcommittee has really been looking into protections that can be enacted to protect manufactured housing park residents and to preserve their manufactured home communities. We did submit a report to the College Place Planning Commission, which has been shared with the Planning Commission members about different local policies that could be enacted to protect manufactured housing residents and to ensure that they can stay stably housed. And we discussed that report several months ago. I would just like to say that this local policy subcommittee does support the moratorium, while longer term policy measures can be considered by both the Planning Commission and the City Council to protect the residents in the manufactured housing parks in College Place. So we support this moratorium and look forward to working with the city on longer term measures that can be enacted in the coming months and in the coming year to make sure that residents in manufactured home parks in College Place can stay safely and stably and affordably housed into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Offenbein. Is there any other discussion at this time? Okay, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved, Councilmember Cleveland.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Peterson.
Great. Any other discussion? All right, then the hearing is closed. Okay, now is there a motion on, oh no, never mind. All in favor to close the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Okay, next we're going to move on to action items. And the first action item is the zoning moratorium for manufactured home parks proposed work plan. And John will present on that again.
Thank you, Council, again. So part of the adoption of the moratorium included preparation of a work plan. Those can be done just verbally or in writing. We chose to put it down in writing. Basically, we're going to spend the next months on into fall studying what the best solution is to implement to protect our manufactured housing in our community. Those could be anything from reestablishing exclusive manufactured housing zoning. There's a resident opportunity to purchase program that we're looking into. Also public acquisition of mobile home parks as an option. That could be done through like a community land trust. enacting zoning regulations that in the event of a redevelopment, that there's displacement assistance programs put in place, other public-private partnerships. So there are a lot of different things that we need to look into to see if we want to include those at a local level. There are some of these protections already in place at state levels. And so what this work plan does is just kind of guides the planning commission and staff on what to look into. We've already begun discussions with community council. Greg Dorn, our planning consultant, and myself had an in-depth conversation today with Rachel Alfenbein with community council, talking about what we wanted to bring to the planning commission at our next meeting in June. Our plan is to study this, bring stuff back to the planning commission, educate them, and then develop a solution, and then bring that. It'll all be done through our public meetings, and then there will be an opportunity towards the end when we've developed the zoning and the policies that we want to bring forward. Those will be brought to the planning commission at a public hearing. The public will be given an opportunity to provide feedback and comment and speak at the meeting. And then the planning commission's recommendation would be brought to the council for approval. We're hoping that the moratoriums can be in place for up to 12 months. We're only allowed to amend our comprehensive plan once a year. So the idea is that we'll bring you something. At the latest, we would bring you something in November, but hopefully in September, October, we'll have something to bring forward to you for enactment. So what we're asking for you tonight is to approve the work plan.
Thank you. Let's go to council members for questions or comments, and we'll begin with Mr. Bobbitt.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Cleveland?
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Peterson?
Yeah, one quick question, John. Maybe I probably didn't understand that. You're saying that you can amend the comprehensive plan one time. Oh, what was the sequence again?
So once a year, we have the opportunity under state law to amend our comprehensive plan.
Okay.
And so part of this, if we're going to amend and create a zoning district, that means we have to also first we have to amend the comprehensive plan and create a land use for it, and establish some guidelines within that, some goals and policies. And then that lays the groundwork, and we can do it in conjunction with each other. That lays the groundwork for establishing zoning and any other tools that we want to implement to protect.
So John, are there any other housekeeping, maybe if I understand this correctly, and I may not, are there any other housekeeping items unrelated to this that you might want to also address a comprehensive plan during that opening, or is that a non-issue?
Yeah, there will be some other things that we're gonna, that are primarily related to affordable housing. And we actually we received an application from community council that addresses a broader section of affordable housing goals and policies that they would like to see. So yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Sorry. Ms. Nyhagen?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Selby?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Sherman?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Boyle?
No questions. Thanks.
Great, thank you. If anyone does have a question, please use the little button to raise your hand. So is there a motion on this issue? Would someone like to make a motion? Councilmember Peterson.
Yes, I would move to approve the proposed zoning moratorium work plan.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second. Boyle.
Great, thank you, Councilmember Boyle. Is there any additional discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. It's unanimous. The motion has passed. Thank you, everyone. Okay, the next item is the Solid Waste Management Plan Agreement, and Mr. Hartwig will present on that.
Yes, about every 6 years, the state requires the county or cities to update their solid waste management plan. They do have they do give the ability to do a combined one, which the county, the city of College Place, city of Walla Walla, and Prescott and Waitsburg have, for now several plan time periods, have chosen to do a joint plan. It really does save money. Otherwise, every plan would be redundant in so many ways. But this plan will be prepared by an engineering firm. Just about a little bit of history. The county used to run the solid waste program for the county. But since city of Walla Walla has the landfill, several years ago, they have an interlocal agreement where the city of Walla Walla now heads up the solid waste program for the county, for the region here. This plan will address the disposal, landfill of solid waste. It'll address illegal dumping, education, recycling, hazardous and medical waste, financial issues, and forecasting, among other things. So it's a plan that we have to do, we're required to by Department of Ecology, and this is probably the most efficient way to do it. In the agreement, you'll see that we are, it's broken out cost-wise by percentage of population, and ours would be roughly about $20,000. So any questions?
All right, let's go through council members, starting with Mr. Bobbitt.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Cleveland,
No questions.
Mr. Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Nyhagen,
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Selby,
No questions, thank you, but I would like to say that I appreciate seeing that we can work together on things.
Amen.
Ms. Sherman,
No questions, thanks.
and Ms. Boyle.
No questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. If you do have something to say, please raise your hand for any additional comments or questions. Otherwise, is there a motion?
This is Councilmember Jerry, and I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute interlocal agreement for participation in the creation of the solid waste management plan.
Great,
Councilmember Selby, second.
great. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the vote's unanimous. The motion has passed. Thank you. Okay, next item we're going to go through is the administration fees resolution update, and Mr. Rickard will present on that as well.
Thank you. Can you hear me this time? Good.
Yes.
So the last time, we haven't done a major update to our building permit fees in June. I will have been with the city 17 years. And there had not been a major update to our permit fee schedule. So what we did in our analysis is we looked at Walla Walla, the city of Walla Walla, Walla County, and we looked at West Richland. There's been some question as to why we look at West Richland. And so I'd like to provide a little bit of background on that. In particular, we look at our neighbors, of course, because they're our neighbors. So we want to be comparable as much as possible. But we also look at outside of our community to make sure that we are comparable with cities that are similar in size and similar in population in terms of residential, and also the ratio of commercial to residential. And then the other factor that we look at when we're looking at cities that are comparable to ours is we look at cities that have a similar staffing level. So West Richland is they're the closest regionally to us that are within our size and population and staffing levels. When we did our analysis, when we looked at what Walla Walla County had, we saw that they were charging $200 for commercial, and we looked at West Richland, and they were charging $100 for commercial. And both of those, we believed that they were a per appliance fee. So meaning, if you're changing out your furnace, that's $100 in West Richland. If you're changing out your condensing unit, your air conditioning unit that's on the outside of your building, that would be an additional $100. And then, so we believe that it was the way they were assessing those fees between Walla Walla County and West Richland was the same. The prices were different. So we believed that we wanted to be more in line with what Walla Walla County was. What we didn't realize was Walla Walla County assessed their $200 fee is a per job fee. So on a commercial job, you could have, we can take the example that Mr. Davin provided for Regency at the Park. There were 5 appliances upon our analysis that were being replaced. So that's how we came up with that $1,000, because the new fee was $200 per appliance. On a residential scale, which is not really in question, we're assessing a $66 per appliance fee for residential. So, if you're replacing your HVAC system completely, including heating and cooling, it would be, 66 times 2. So we enacted the fee increase, and then our first customer on a commercial job was Grassi Refrigeration, and that's when it was brought to our attention that they believed that we were out of line. So we went back and looked at the analysis, and we called the jurisdictions, and that's when we found out that it was not the county, it was a per job. Based on conversations and analysis that was done by the building official and in conjunction with myself, we do believe that the per appliance is an appropriate way to assess these fees. The inspections are more in depth if they're based on the number of appliances that a job could entail, especially on a commercial job. There could be multiple trips that are, you're called out to. Accessing them is more time consuming, and they're just more in depth. And in addition to the inspection side of it, the energy codes that we fall under the state of Washington, just over the years, every code cycle are becoming more and more in depth. And it just is more time consuming for city staff to make sure that these new units that are going into these are in compliance with the new energy codes. So the proposal is to lower the rate down to $100 per appliance, but we do want to keep it at a per appliance fee. With that, I guess I'll open up to any questions.
Okay, let's go to the council for questions. Mr. Bobbitt?
So when you charge a per appliance, is that per appliance being worked on or per appliance that exists?
It would be a per appliance that's being replaced.
Okay.
Mr. Cleveland?
I had a question, but I just lost it.
Okay, if you
Oh,
think
wait,
about
I
it,
remember it now. It wasn't so much a question as just ensuring I'm understanding what's going on correctly. This fee is primarily going to provide an inspection on the installation and make sure that it's done properly and adequately. Is that correct?
So we base our part of the analysis was we evaluated what the rough times it takes to process the permit. So we're attempting to recover our expenses on our administrative permit, our administrative assistant, the permit tech, the review of the building official in reviewing the appliance, the appliance that's going to be installed, and then the inspection by the inspector. That could be the building official or our inspector. So yeah, and then, there are other things that aren't factored into it that are above and beyond, like equipment, the vehicles and all of that kind of stuff. But we base it solely on hourly, benefits and that kind of stuff.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Peterson?
So John, do we know, this actually makes these contractors potentially less competitive, correct? Probably not within the city of College Place, does it skew their estimates globally?
Well, every jurisdiction has a different the assessment, and I will admit that the city has failed. My department has failed in terms of adequately notifying these contractors of the fee increase. We have never had a master, email list that to go out to provide them with information on these fee increases, and that's something that was called to our attention, and we are developing a master email list so that we can provide updates on when there's code changes, and we can notify.
Sure. Do you know how many customers were affected? A wild guess.
Well, we don't see a whole lot of commercial mechanical permits. I mean, we have a fair amount of businesses in town.
Yeah.
They range in size from, Regency at the Park is, I would say a mid-sized commercial business in terms of the number of units that they have to heat and cool their building, to our Walmarts and Home Depot. When those systems are replaced, $100 a unit is probably a extreme bargain for the amount of time that the city's going to spend inspecting the installation and
Oh, John, I'm sorry, I may have misspoke. Do we know how many customers were charged the extra fee so far? I'm sorry.
So far,
My fault.
our first customer has been Grassi, and the proposal in the correction is that the fees would be retroactive, so we would refund the amount due back.
Great. Thanks, John. Sorry if I misspoke there.
No, I probably just misunderstood you.
I know.
Ms. Nyhagen?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Selby?
One thing that really struck me was in his comments, Mr. Davin referred to 2.5 appliances and you referred to 5, which it seems like that is also going to be kind of a big disconnect. So do you know what the difference is there?
I don't remember
How do you
what
half an appliance?
Yeah, I mean, so my recollection to that particular permit was that there were 3 furnaces being replaced and 2 AC units. So I I caught that and didn't quite understand how he got to 2.5 appliances. But that can be a debate amongst the building official and the contractor.
Okay. It sounds like to him, a furnace and an AC together is one. I also had a suggestion on the email list. I would suggest a list that contractors can sign up for, so that they are responsible, they can subscribe, so they're responsible of keeping themselves on the list rather than us trying to chase them down. And obviously we should advertise that quite widely, but that would be my recommendation.
Okay, I will look into how to set that up.
Mr. Rizzatello has a comment.
Yeah, just 2 comments as far as units, because when this issue arose, Mr. Gavin contacted me personally. So from what was relayed to me, looking at the notes I scribbled, it was 5. So that's in my notebook. And then as far as the other thing, just about communications, Mr. Ricard's right about that we don't have an email list. But one thing I do want to point attention to, though, is in the newsletter that we mail out to all of our utility customers. At the end of the year, when we do our budgetary address, I also put in a hyperlink that actually takes you to said fee schedule. So anyone that goes to the newsletter that's through social media, web, and it gets mailed out to everyone, it's like there. You just have to go to it. So.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to Ms. Sherman.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Ms. Boyle?
I just had a question about, when you talked to Walla Walla County, did they explain why their fees were per job instead of per unit?
I don't know that I did not personally speak to them. My building official did, so I can't speak to the in depth, why. They're quite honestly, I think, well, I don't know. I do not know why. I won't guess.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments before we move on? All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize resolution number 21-027, adopting the updated city fees and charges in section 3 of the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second, Boyle.
Great. Any other additional comments or questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the vote's unanimous. The motion has passed. Thank you, John. Okay, next item is Birch and Whitman crosswalk, and Mr. Rizzatello will present on that.
Hey, thank you. So we received a complaint by a resident that a lot more of the students and parents are trying to cross Whitman over at Birch as opposed to Ash. Upon a cursory investigation by staff, that does appear to be the case where a crosswalk is warranted over there. We did bring this to the Utilities Advisory Commission at their May 13th meeting. They recommended to go mark a crosswalk over at Birch and Whitman. Also, as one of the lessons learned from the previous DCO road situation, what we did in this case is in addition to having it on the website, we actually put like a public notice sign actually right at said location of improvement. So if folks are near that thing at all, they should have seen the signage. So it should be a widely known thing at this juncture. And going forward, we're going to try with a lot more of these transportation improvements to do a notice akin to this. But this is just essentially voting to put down a crosswalk across Whitman at Birch, which seems to be warranted. Community development and police and public works looked at it.
Great, thank you. Let's go through council members for questions or comments. Mr. Bobbitt,
No questions. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Mr. Cleveland,
If you happen to have it handy, I'm a little curious what the installation of these crosswalks would cost.
Paul?
Yeah, we'll do that when we do our painting, which is usually just before school starts. And it's just gonna be painted, so it's not gonna cost that much. It's just the time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Peterson,
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Nyhagen,
No questions. Thank you, Mike.
Ms. Sherman,
I think you skipped Melody, but I don't have any questions.
Ms. Selby.
I was wondering, did you mean me or did you forget me? So I actually had a quick question, which is, have our engineers looked at this? Because, I mean, I'm not arguing the need for a crosswalk, but having a crosswalk can make it so that we want to have changes other places. You know, it can have kind of a ripple effect. So I'm just wondering if our traffic engineers took a peek at this at all.
Yeah, and they supported it. As I said, after the DCO road situation, I'm doing that now with everything. So that was sent to JUB and they supported that.
Great, thank you.
All right, now we're gonna go on to Ms. Boyle.
No questions.
Okay, any additional comments or questions? All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to recommend the crosswalk markings at the Whitman Drive and Birch Avenue intersection to the College Place City Council.
Great,
Councilmember Cleveland, second.
great. Any additional discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The motion is passed. Thank you. So we have no administrative reports tonight, and there are several informational reports in your packet for your review at your convenience. We also do not have an executive session tonight. So is there any other business for the good of the order? All right. See none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Councilmember Cleveland.
Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember Selby.
Great. So if there's no objection, the meeting is adjourned at 7:53 p.m.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good